Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. What we're building today is a Camlock gluing sled. If you've watched my video on Space Invaders vertical grain cutting board, I used one to fabricate that. We did it in sections and we use a gluing board like this, and then I've had some inquiries how I built it, so we're going to do a video on it and I hope you follow along. They're a handy tool to have in the shop if you're a box builder or cutting boards, or we're just trying to fasten small boards together. It's a simple and easy way to do it and accurate. You can lay out all your wood, and so hope you enjoy this project. So what I'm showing you here, we have a head piece, which is the shorter piece. That's where all the pressure will be going on the board. And you want to make sure that they're jointed on the side, so you have a really good 90-degree angle against the surface. So I put a bit of glue on both sides. Whenever I'm gluing on plywood, I find that the plywood takes a lot of the glue in, so it's good to put some sizing on the plywood as well. So I glue both surfaces. So we're just going to fasten these on. I'm just clamping them on now, and you don't have to be too awful accurate here because the long board is the one that will be squaring to it, so it's just flush with the end of the plywood. And what I'll do is I'll be using a countersink, and I'll put 8 screws in it. I use an 1.5-inch screw, and it's important whenever you're going in, and you want to use a good solid piece of wood for your end board as well, because there is a lot of pressure that you'll be putting up against it, and there's a lot of work, so you might as well. This is a piece of edge grain fir, so it's good and solid, and I always pre-drill all my holes before I put a screw in. Try to avoid ever putting a screw into wood without pre-drilling a hole. It'll just break on you, split. And there's our long backer piece, and that had a and we're just making sure it's square there. And this is just a temporary one so that we can put a pencil mark on it so we can lay out our glue. I'm just double checking it again, and you notice I have a couple of X's on it, and that's the X for the base and for the 90-degree side. Same thing, just put some glue for sizing on the plywood as well, and then we'll just wait till that tacks up a bit and then put it on. There, we fasten that, and I just double checked it again before we proceed. Now on the bottom, what I'm doing is just putting some running boards on the bottom along each side, and what this will do is it'll help to stabilize the plywood, stop it from warping or twisting, because you want it to stay square. So we'll just glue those and screw them down as well. There's a couple of 3/4-inch running boards. There it is there, and I've cut up my plastic laminate, which we'll be putting on top. And the plastic laminate, I've given it 2 coats of contact spray. Just got to peel off the painter's edge. Whenever I'm marking out plastic laminate, I like to use painter's tape. I'll put it down on the edges, and then I can make my marks. It's hard to see the marks without the aid of tape. So there we are. We'll just bond that down. And you want to make sure that you use contact glue in this. I wouldn't use any other glue but a contact cement. And we'll just get that pushed down really good. And I'll leave it for a little bit before I start doing a little bit of work. The shop is a little cooler today, so it takes a little longer for the contacts to bond together. But after they've bonded, and I've laid out my grid pattern, you'll see that it's 3x2. And I've laid that all out on top of the plastic laminate. And what I'm doing is just taking a 1/8 drill bit and just drilling a pilot hole. And this will just help when we go to a larger hole. It'll be easier to find these and sliding around. just get them all done. And I'm just sizing my dowel. These are 1-inch hardwood dowels, and they're right on 1 inch. And I'm just going to find a bit that'll suit it. And I have to check here because we have metric and imperial mixed up. And there's the bit there that I'll be using. These are good sharp bits. That's what you want when you're drilling into plastic laminate. If you're just going to use a spade bit, when you start your hole, start in reverse first, and they'll score the outside edge of the plastic laminate, and then you can turn your bit onto the right direction. But here I am, I'm using a drill press, and we'll be going right through. And so at all the cross marks here, we'll be drilling a hole. And I put a 3/4 inch piece of plywood underneath so that we can move it around, and we slide it off the edge of the drill press as well without it tilting. You want to make sure that your holes are going in on a 90-degree angle. It helps with the camlocks whenever they go in. Here's all the holes all done. A few more to do in the top. I won't be going all the way through here. I'll just be going to the top of the runner. I don't want to find any screws, so I'm only going down to the edge. I probably didn't even need these, but I figured I might as well. There's always that one project that's just a little bit bigger. So, and here we are. So you can see the one cam lock I've got there, and I did that as a prototype. I cut that out and just checking for size, make sure that it works right, and I'm happy with it. Now I've just taken a board and I'll lay this all out to cut them all out on. So there's my center line right down the center, and then the total length of the cam lock is 6 inches, and then I'll be marking a 2-inch holes so I can mark my 4-inch radius for the end of my cam. And then off of the once I get the markings done for my 4-inch radius, I'll be adding a 1/2 inch along the parallel line, and that's so that the important thing about these cam locks is that the dowel has to be 1/2 inch offset from the center hole and parallel down the handle. So you can see I'm just making a mark there, and that's a 1/2 inch off center. And I'm just punching those holes, and that'll just help me find them with the drill bit. And it's just checking it for size again. And I'll take those all over to the bandsaw and cut them all out. And I didn't bother showing you that video. I didn't want to move the camera all over, but I think everybody knows how to cut out plywood. So here we are with them all cut out. And what you want to do with plywood, laminated wood like this, is airs to the edges. The veneer is quite thin, so if you're pulling them off and on and using them, you don't want that veneer to chip away on you. So just take some sandpaper, aerosol the outside edges, and they'll just stop them from chipping out on you. You're doing a lot of work to get to this point, so it doesn't take much longer to airs the edges. And I'm doing the inside as well too. It seems like whenever you cut the holes, the bit leaves a little bit of fur on the inside, so I'm just giving it a bit of a sand out. And then once we get them all cleaned up, we'll put some oil and wax on them. I make my own oil and wax mixture. It's 10% wax to 90% oil, and the oil I use is mineral oil because I can use it on my cutting boards and I don't have to worry about contaminants in it or anything, or it being used somewhere or used on a tool and then contaminating a food surface. So mineral oil and 10% wax, paraffin wax. Use paraffin wax. There it is there. And you can see I got it marked on the side. But I mix up a jam jar at a time, and I use it on everything. But I'll coat all the sides of the cans. I'll completely coat the sides, and that'll just help and stop moisture from getting in there. And you want some wax on the cams so that it'll slide against the surface that you're gluing together. And then put some oil and wax mixture on the inside. There's my dowels. I'll just tap that down. You can see they're nice and tight. And we'll do all the dowels up. So the dowels are cut 2 1/4 inches. And I'm just giving them all a coating. And then I'll also do all the holes in the board as well, so that the cams can be pulled in and out of them, and they can move freely in the holes. Just giving them all a really good coat, and this works good. And just sealing all the edges all up. And I said, because these are Camlock, it's good to have a bit of wax on them, because they'll slide against the surface that you're working on. So here we're just doing a sample. We've got our dowels and our Camlocks. So we're just going up against the end, and you can see how they pull nice and tight. And that's a Camlock system. So like I said, and again, the hole is offset by 1/2 inch. You can go 1/4 inch or whatever you want. I like having a 1/2 inch travel. So that means when I turn the board 90 degrees, that'll give me a 1/2 inch travel. So here I'm showing you a bigger board. I put in a 2 inch piece there. That's up against the Camlock. You can see it's on the bottom, and then you just take another one. I took the dowel of the center, then I can put them in a tandem, and then I can lock that in as well. So they can come up higher on the board. You can see it's quite solid. It doesn't move at all. Lays flat. It's a great little project for gluing up a lot of small stuff. Like I said, this is what I used to do the Space Invaders cutting board. I had to do, I think I used 86 pieces, and I did them in groups, and I used this board to do it. So there's the entire board with the plastic laminate on top and all my Camlocks. I've made 6 Camlocks. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you.